Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Flying a little solo tonight, so I thought I had more time to get ready than I actually did. When you've done this for a while, you start to get pretty skilled at setting up the show and rolling with it, baby. Showtime. Hey, Greg. Always great to see my VP. Go hang out with us tonight for Impact Life 24/7. This is the podcast that has been downloaded now in 37, 38 states, over 22, 23 countries around the world. And it's on 23 different platforms. So we see the slow, steady growth. Our team was in the lab this past weekend. We were brainstorming some ways to continue to expand our reach and continue to expand our impact. Because if you really think about it, ladies and gentlemen, you can be impacting somebody in your closet. But if you really want to make a difference, then you've got to engage and you've got to connect and you've got to find vehicles and ways to do that. And so on Impacting Life 24/7, that's what we're doing, man. We are just trying different things to make it work. And why? Because I think the journey is worth it. I really do. I think the journey of broadening our reach into a household name in every village around the world, I feel like that journey is worth it. Because if we can save one life, if we can impact one life, if we can bring positivity to one life, then that's really what it's all about. Yeah, it's actually 23 countries. Greg, I cannot believe it, brother. And so thank you guys for tuning in to Impact Life 24/7 with your host, CL King. I actually enjoy this particular part of my job when I can be on the show. Listen, I love guests. I love having guests. Guests are kind of the bedrock and the hallmark of what we do, but I also enjoy the opportunity to just be with y'all. And sometimes, when you have guests, like I said, man, when you have guests, you got to make sure your house is clean. You got to make sure everything is right. Everything's tidy and in order, because it's important for us that guests enjoy their experience. It's important for us that guests get something out of it. Not just that they're making an appearance, but, there's something that's going to be reciprocated after they leave the show. There's something that's going to be residual after they leave our show. And that's what Impacting Life 24/7 truly is about. So tonight, we're going to dive into, listen, it's not long, ladies and gentlemen. I already see it on many of the marquees around town and in my travels that, guess what, Greg, summer about to be over, brother. Summer is about to be over and kids are going to be going back to school. Can you all believe this? Like, somebody asked me today, where did the summer go? I'm still trying to figure it out myself. How did we, it was just like a blink of an eye. And I think because of the lower up tempo and society trying to, find its way, its bearings again, it just seems like we really haven't gotten back into the groove of time. And so it's just like measured in sunsets and sunrises. And here we are again back saying, hey, I just did the commencement speech at school. And now it's like, all right, I already see back to school items in the store. And, it's just like, man, it does not stop. And that is why we are trying to be problem solvers. We're trying to be listen, man, you're on this ocean, this vast ocean of information. And what we're trying to be is that lighthouse. You can't look all over the vastness of the ocean and find 25,000 different lighthouses. Usually when you're looking for a lighthouse, it's very specific. And we're trying to be that lighthouse for people like you that watch, that listen. And so we're thankful for all of you that tune in on Impacting Life 24/7 on our podcast, which is hosted by Podbean. And Podbean sends it out to all of our affiliates around the world. And so we wanted to try to give you a week of nutritional information that can help you as you're preparing, moms and dads and young people, as you guys are preparing for this return, this mass exodus from the holiday of summer and returning back to school. How many people are excited about school getting back in? I think maybe there might be some moms and dads out there that would say, yes, let's expedite this thing. What do we need a summer break for? And so what we want to do is we wanted to give you some 10 ideas or thoughts that you could use for your elementary school students. And we're going to work through elementary, middle, high school, and college as we kind of put this little package together for you. We were talking about everyone. Hey, Jeremiah, my son, he says, hello, what's up, Pop? He actually tuned in to Impacting Life 24/7. Now, that's got to be a first. We are truly making a world of difference if Jeremiah pops in, because he ain't got time for no social media. That brother is all about business, making money, and getting that truck and playing baseball. So we appreciate you and love you, son. So 10 ideas for, getting ready to get back to school and having a successful school year in the elementary world. Here's one thing that you can do. Tip number one, or idea number one. I would really like to suggest that you attend your back to school night and parent teacher conferences. My wife and I did this for all of our kids. Our kids didn't necessarily like it when it was high school time, but we still did it. And I really feel like that is an important way to lay the foundation for the return back to your kids' school, especially in elementary school. Elementary school is a formative year. It's formative years, and for them to get to their normative years, they're going to still need mom and dad to be a part of what they're doing. And so it's important when you are turning over your most precious commodity that you are understanding the adults that are now engaged in assisting you. When your children are your most precious commodity, ladies and gentlemen. And I always scratch my head, Greg, at sometimes these kids who's now listen, just take it for what it's worth. You guys can get mad at me later. But whose parents never show up to anything at the school. Never. There is nobody in this world working that much that you can't show up to something as important as a back to school night at your kids' school and or a parent teacher conference. Me being a professional speaker, speaking in schools all across the country, and have reached over 400,000 people with the message of no matter the adversity, you still can make it. Listen, I have seen and talked with talked with teachers and principals and administrators that say, I've never seen this child's parents. But man, let something go awry at the school and you going up in there showing out. So I know here I am, I'm meddling and I should be ministering. But the first thing that I want to tell you is attend that back to school night and parent teacher conferences. Get to know the people that you've turned over your most precious commodity to. In elementary school, that's going to be paramount because it's a collaborative effort, guys. Even now, I couldn't imagine even now helping an elementary school kid with their work. Things are just different. Education, the trajectory and the way kids learn things are just different. It's changed in the past 28. I've been out of school now almost 30 years, 29, 30 years, and it's changed. It just has changed. And so when you think about that, you can't just say, well, that ain't the way we did it back in the Civil War. You can't do that. You want to be a part of this learning experience, and this should be a collaboration. Volunteering your time, the one of the greatest places you can give of your time is in your child's education. Because I feel like that if you are engaged as a mom and dad, I'm just telling you 10 ideas for a better school year in 2021 and 22 for your elementary school kids. All right. Tonight we're dealing with elementary. The next time we'll deal with middle school, the next time high school, and then on to college. So we'll make it live all the way up to the top, yo, baby. But when you think about building credibility in a relationship, it's one thing to never show up, never participate, never communicate or whatever, and then you see something that's awry and you go there and you demanding that things be set in order. But it's a totally different thing if you've been in collaboration, you've been visible, right? You've been a part of what's going on in the education of your child, and now when you see something that may be amiss or see something that you like to interject, it's far more better. It's better received from the teacher, from the principal, from the administrator, because you've been a part of the process. So the first thing I want to tell you is, just from having raised and parented 7 kids, having gone to, I can't count the number of back to school events and open houses and parent teacher conferences and all that. That's a very, very important thing, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be key. And so the other thing that I like to tell you to do the second idea, is to visit the school and visit the school's website. Like, stay up to, listen, it's never been easier, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, man, that's me. It's never been easier for those of you listening on our podcast. I just held up my phone and I realized that my phone runs the show live too. So I'm like, hey, man, I see myself on all my devices, my multiple screens and everything. Listen, it's never been easier to get into the virtual back pocket of an entity as it is now. And really, that's what drives everything. Our virtual world is really the Mount Rushmore now of communication. It really is. And so visiting your child's website, especially in elementary school, is important, because guess what? You can stay up to date on what's going on in the school. Let's say if you can't be there as frequently as you would like. So there really shouldn't be any excuses. I want to just give you guys these. We're on idea number 2, but visit the school. And if you can't visit the school, visit the school's website. And stay abreast of what is going on in your child's school. Why is that important? Because I'm going to say this throughout the entirety of the night. The most precious commodity that you have in your child, you are now turning it over to, for them, a stranger. So it's very, very important that you know what is going on, what's being taught, what's being said, what's being planned, and that way you can stay abreast. You can support it, you can reinforce it. There's just so much to that. So don't remove the excuse, well, I can't get there because I work the 3rd shift or whatever. Go to their website. Now, when I come back, I'll continue on with giving you these 10 ideas for an elementary school successful year, 2021, 2022. Can y'all believe it? But before I get into the next portion, I want y'all to hear a word about our amazing sponsors. Our sponsors really do carry the mail for us. Our amazing sponsors are truly the engines that help Impacting Life 24/7 produce phenomenal results in 33 states and 17 countries around the world. Our gold sponsors, Michelle Perry. She is the host of the Successful Diligence podcast and the best-selling author of The Pebble in My Shoe. You've got to get a copy of her book today. Connect with Michelle and get this dynamic book in your possession at successfuldiligence.com. Paula Cousson has dedicated her life volunteering in community youth programs such as the Young Marines. Paula believes that the greatest asset each young person has is an individual caring adult in their life. Our platinum sponsors, Mr. Gregory Smith, who is also the VP of the CL King Group and the executive producer of Impacting Life 24/7. He is the author of 100 Simple Ways How to Manage a Property and Evidence Room. Get your copy of his book today by reaching out to Gregory Smith on Facebook or email him at smithg1963@yahoo.com. Adrienne Barker. She is the host of the Adrienne Barker Speaks podcast, a life coach and CEO of Professional Global Etiquette. Connect with Adrienne Barker today at professionalglobaletiquette.com. If you would like to be a sponsor of our international podcast, which reaches states in the U.S. and countries around the world, it's very simple. Go to clkingspeaker.com and sign up to partner with us today as we continue to impact one life, one day at a time. Impacting one life, one day at a time. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, Impacting Life 24/7 with your host, CL King. And I really do believe what we say there, that when it comes down to it, man, you know, sometimes you look at the capacity to reach tens of millions, and obviously that's important too. That has its place. But, man, when you think about the one, I was driving through the store the other day, driving through the parking lot, and I saw someone sitting on a cart in our town. And it was obviously a homeless person. And I said, man, I don't ever want to, and I just felt like God dealt with me about it. I said, I don't ever want to ride past people with my nose so far up in the air, man. I don't want to ride past people and, A, forget where I've come from, and B, not have compassion for humanity. I don't ever want to get there. I don't ever want that to be my status in life, that I get so far up and I'm so aloof that when I do see someone or experience someone who has maybe been down on their luck, that I'm so beyond, I'm so beyond that anymore. I can't feel the soil anymore, so I can't plant any flowers because I got somebody to plant them for me. I don't ever want to be like that, man, because I know I can identify with eating in soup kitchens and out of off the street and everything else. I can identify with that, man. And I want that to be etched in my mind forever. I want it to be etched in my mind forever. And I want you guys to know something in terms of our sponsors. They are, I'm so glad that we have the capacity to connect with people who are believing in the same way, that we want to impact some lives. Our show is hosted on and carried on Apple Podcasts, Google Chrome, Podbean, Bullhorn, Pandora, Safari, Spotify, Overcast, Facebook Live, Podcast Addict, Alexa, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, iTunes, Opera, OF Network, Castbox, Firefox, Mobile Safari Viewer, iOS Player, Android Player, Comcast devices. Listen, our show is carried on all of these areas. And so what our sponsors get for helping us continue in this mission is that commercial that you just heard is on all of those platforms. It's on all of them. And so when somebody partners with us to help sponsor Impacting Life 24/7, whether at the gold level sponsorship and or at the platinum level sponsorship, they get that commercial. And then that leverages their voice. If they're an author, if they're a speaker, if they're a business owner, we do that on the show for them 3 times a week. So that's what sponsorship is really all about. It's not just that what you guys hear on Podbean or what you hear or see on Facebook Live is the only place that a sponsor's commercial is heard. No, it's heard on all of those other platforms. And so we thank them for partnering with us. Now, let's get back to it, guys, because guess what? Before the next time we get to blink, it's going to be almost time to get back to school. So we've already given you 2 ideas. Here's another one. As an elementary school kid is getting ready to go back to school, so elementary is kindergarten through 5th grade. Another element that you can do to help them have a successful year, moms and dads, is to support homework expectations. Good evening, the great Javi Superhero Madrigal. You can support homework expectations. Now, listen, I will be honest with you, some of them of the expectations or some of the homework that came home or some of the expectations from the teachers sometimes gave me pause. But because I was engaged and because my wife and I were engaged in what was going on, it gave us the opportunity to, like, sometimes if I saw something and I'm not a math guy, all I need to do is count my money, right? I don't need to know, all the theories and all that kind of stuff. I tell my kids, if y'all bring math to me, go talk to your mother. They don't require that. What will I do, y'all? So, but when I saw something that was sent home for homework, if I didn't agree with it or if I didn't understand it, I could at least write a note to the teacher and say, hey, listen, we're confused on this. We need further explanation. So I wanted them to know, hey, look, we're not dogging you. We're not trying to undermine what you're sending home for homework, but we are a little bit stuck here. So, and then what that does for that teacher, you know what it lets her know? That moms and dads are looking at the homework. So this is just listen, guys, I'm giving you some simple ideas in the elementary school arena. I told you I'm going to do middle school and high school and college throughout before we get back to school. Support homework expectations. All right. Now, if it looks like this, and this has helped over the years, like I said, I've put 7 kids through school. If sometimes, like, if your kids are just falling behind or the homework just seems so voluminous, it is a good opportunity to interject, because you might have little Johnny over here that can do 10 pages and write 500 words and all that kind of stuff at night, and you might have Susie that she can't keep up. Well, supporting homework expectations is also this: speaking up if you're seeing that what's being sent home is just not feasible or it's not realistic. That gives the teacher an opportunity to make some in-flight adjustments. That's that collaborative relationship that I'm talking about relative to parents and teachers. And so you're going to have I'm talking about an elementary school successful school year. This is what I'm giving you: 10 ideas for a successful school year for your elementary school student. Support the homework expectations, but engage in them. All right. Now I'm going to give you another one before we go to our next commercial break. Listen, set your child up for being ready to learn in school. In other words, send your student ready to learn. Send your kid to school ready to learn. Don't send them to school after they've been up all night on Fortnite, because this is elementary school, because the elementary kids are playing Fortnite, right? Don't send them to school with no proper rest. Make sure they got something in their belly. And listen, when I deal with the exceptional children's departments in school systems, this is, as you guys know, this is my heartbeat when we're talking about at-risk students, because I was an at-risk student all the way up to high school. I don't know if they even call what I was at risk. I should have been whatever. But let's turn these at-risks to at-opportunities. Okay, so let them get to bed. Don't let them be up all night on their devices. If you want them to be engaged, you want them to be focused, this is the education model that we have right now. And so since we have it, let them be engaged, let them be focused, and send your kid ready to learn. And you got to set them up for success. So moms and dads, you can't have the artificial babysitter for hours and hours and hours on end, which has become our electronic devices. Is that not true? Hello, somebody. I mean, I know I don't have kids. I only got one kid left in school, and I know y'all might say, well, you don't know how hard it is. Let me just tell you something. If you want your kid to succeed, send them there ready to learn. Okay? Now, here's another thing. Breakfast is important. Breakfast is important. Tabari Wallace was big on making sure those babies, and he was in high school, but I know he modeled this in all the other schools that he excelled at as the principal and turned those schools around. But breakfast is important. Your child, when I worked in at-risk student education, man, if those kids hadn't eaten, because in some circumstances that there's just no breakfast to be had, man, if those kids hadn't eaten, it was going to be a rough day at the schoolhouse. Yes. And so I'm telling you, this is from a normal perspective. All things being equal, send your kids ready to succeed. But educators, be mindful if you have at-risk students or if you have students that are in the exceptional children's category, that perhaps maybe they didn't get a good night's sleep for a host of reasons that were beyond their control. Man, I just felt the Lord walk into the room. Because I tell you, man, I remember as a kid getting double breakfasts and double lunches. Why? Because I was severely malnutrition. I didn't look nearly as robust and rotund as I look now. I was severely malnutrition, diagnosed. I mean, when I went to boot camp in the Marine Corps, I'm 6'3", 160 pounds. I was just a skeleton walking. So educators, be mindful of this. So I'm talking to both sides there in that equation, man. When you want the kids to succeed, well, don't be so driven by your rubrics and your lesson plan that you miss the fact that maybe there's something going on with this child. They very well could be hungry, right? They very well could have been up because mom and dad were throwing pots and pans all over the house all night. I didn't been planning to go that route, but you know how the Lord do sometimes. So we gotta be mindful. Moms and dads, send your kids to school to learn, but educators, be mindful that there could be some roadblocks to the kid coming ready to rock and roll. Are you hearing me? So send them to school ready to learn, but be mindful, be sensitive, guys. I'm going to talk to parents again in terms of here's another tip, here's another idea. You know, you want your kid to be successful? Well, teach them organizational skills. When they come organized, instead of spending time hunting for stuff, they don't know where nothing is. Man, it truly is frustrating to the child. Having the assignments where they're supposed to be, having access to their supporting materials, set them up for success by teaching them organizational skills. That's not a bad thing. That's not OCD. I'm telling you, I perform so much better at my desk when my desk is right. When I got yesterday's Bojangles chicken up here and all which I don't, and I usually don't, but you understand what I'm saying. I can't function well in clutter. And if I'm around clutter, I'm cluttered. So just imagine with that young life. I'm giving you guys 10 ideas tonight for elementary school success. Remove the clutter. Teach kids how to be organized. Teach them early. Show them the importance of organization. And because school is organized, everything on their day is planned out. So the last thing you want to do is send your kid to school totally disheveled and try to insert them into this, this system of organization. Can I get an amen? You guys got any ideas on things that you did in the past when your kids were in elementary school to send your kids to school to be successful? Go ahead and drop it in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And while you're thinking about what you have done to help your kids, maybe it was so long ago you might have to think hard. But we're going to hear about our other sponsors, our platinum sponsors on Impacting Life 24/7. Impacting Life 24/7 is an event that can be experienced locally and around the world because of our platinum sponsors. Mr. Mike Black from New Bern, North Carolina. Mike helps men throughout Eastern Carolina lead a faith-filled life. He is a compassionate leader in his church and is a devoted husband and father. Another platinum sponsor, Dr. Nate Dunlap Jr. He is the executive director of the PRF Institute. He is the author of What's Next? Preparing for Eternity and Don't Leave Me Like This, Inspiration to Leave a Legacy. As a 501c3 nonprofit organization, the PRF Institute is blessed to be the premier stewardship-based teaching ministry that truly responds to the needs of families and communities around the country. Find Dr. Dunlap and his amazing team at prfinstitute.org. Another platinum sponsor, poet Katrina McCain. She is the author of Because She Decided to Love. This is a collection of poetry and prose about love and its impact on every relationship. This raw and uncut poetry book addresses the themes of how we experience love through loss, hurt, pain, grief, and passion. Because She Decided to Love takes readers through a journey from the sweetest to the most bitter emotions that love evokes. Get your copy of her book today at poetKatrina McCain.com. Another platinum sponsor, Dr. Skip Mondragon, MD. He is a 26-year Army veteran, National Veterans Wrestling Champion, and a dynamic speaker. He is also the author of Wrestling Depression is Not for Wimps. Lessons learned from an amateur wrestler's fight to triumph over depression. Contact Dr. Skip Mondragon II at wrestlingisnotforwimps.com. Another platinum sponsor, the Underdog Ninja Foundation. This foundation was founded in 2020 by Javi and Jessica Madrigal. This husband and wife team have been battling and overcoming heart disease for over 18 years. Their personal story and experiences have led to follow the calling of empowering, educating, and supporting those fighting heart disease. Contact this amazing team at underdogninja.org. If you'd like to know more about Impacting Life 24/7 or to become a sponsor, all that you have to do is do something very simple. Go to clkingspeaker.com. Yeah, go to clkingspeaker.com. That's Impacting Life 24/7, our platinum sponsors. And listen, here's where else that commercial was heard. Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Germany, United Kingdom, France, Ireland, Netherlands, Brazil, Mexico, Chile, Japan, Nigeria, Romania, Czech Republic, Spain, Greece, Israel, Iran, Kenya, and the Philippines, as well as the United States. This is what our sponsors get in return for partnering with us. And so that commercial, like I said, it's heard all around the world. That is 24 different countries that download Impacting Life 24/7. And so we believe in partnership, and we believe in, man, listen, I want to help promote the folks that partner with us. They're helping us. We want to help them. And so if you'd like to become a sponsor, boom, let's get with it, baby. So again, we told you, send your kids to school for success. I am doing a series because I know we're getting ready to go back to school. Greg, I can't believe we're going back to school. We're wide open, brother. It's already happening. We were meeting with our team this past Saturday. Greg and I was meeting with our staff, and we were talking. Thank goodness it's virtual, so I didn't have to buy lunch for everybody. But we were talking about, okay, let's look at some strategies for how we can best serve these schools throughout the year, how we can best serve our community. We were really, really serious about 2021 and 22 school year being amazing for our students. And so I said, we're going to do a couple different things leading up to it. And one of those is giving parents and teachers and educators ideas of how to navigate through this next school year. Because listen, let's just face it, the last school year was there will be an asterisk by 2020, will it not, ladies and gentlemen? And so we're thankful for the graduating class of 2021 and wish them well. And so here's another idea that I want to share with you, because again, I'm sharing 10 ideas for helping your kid in elementary school get through it and be successful and have a great year. The last one I left off with was teaching organizational skills. And also, I want you to teach this. Moms and dads, you guys can teach this. Teaching study skills. See, because they're there, yes, they're at school for 7.5 hours, but let me just tell you something. The day is broken up. And so the reinforcement that we do on the back end at home is so essential, ladies and gentlemen. Studying for a test can be scary for young people, man. That can be scary. I don't like tests now. I would melt if they said, we're going to give you a speaker's test. And I'm a speaker. I'm good at it. And if they said, we're going to give you a test on, the elements of crafting a great speech, I'd probably faint. I'd probably pass out because I just don't like tests. And so teaching study skills is important, especially for our young minds. And many educators assume parents are going to help their kids during the school grade years. But listen, introducing your child to being able to study and have the skills to study themselves will pay off dividends as they develop these habits, right? Because I'm watching, y'all, I can hand a little kid this thing right here. I mean, like barely still sitting with a pacifier and a bottle. I can hand them a phone for those of you listening on Impacting Life 24/7. Thank you for listening to our podcast. I can hand them a phone, and that kid knows to turn the phone, to rotate it, knows how to click cancel when the commercial comes up on the game or whatever. And I'm just like, okay, so these kids got some skills. This is a different generation. They can learn stuff. And so why not tap into that capacity? You know, their brains are just like sponges. So teach them some skills to study so they don't have to sweat the tests. That tests are just a part of the journey. Because some kids totally freak out. In elementary school, kids, tests can appear to be daunting. You know, and what you got to realize is in elementary school, kids are taking end of grade tests. And I've done a lot of workshops helping students and staff get ready for the end of grade because everybody absolutely loses their mind about the end of grade test. We put a lot of stock in it. We put a lot of weight in it. The administrators and team are just weighed down with how well are we going to do. Look, teach your kids how to break down tasks into smaller, manageable chunks. So preparing for a test isn't so overwhelming. Teach them study skills. If they can play Fortnite, they can learn how to study. And the deal is that if you teach them those skills now, if you teach them those skills in the elementary school years, when they get to middle and high school and on to college, it'll be old hat for them, and they will strengthen that. I think about Chris and his drumming, his rudiments, like a certain drum pattern, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? That they started out just with very simple things, and then it turns into a 16-note pattern because he worked on the smaller 1, 2, 3s. So teach study skills to your kids, man. That's just, I really, really, really. I didn't have, my biological parents and my foster parents were older in age. They had been out of school for about 70 years when I moved in with them. So I didn't get all that. But thinking about it, even hindsight now as a parent, man, I don't know if I did very well. We crammed. If it wasn't for the last minute, we wouldn't have got nothing done as parents. So maybe we could have done better at giving, and I'm just speaking from experience, maybe we could have done better at equipping our children to study better. Did you guys ever out there, did any of you work with your kids in elementary school to give them a good foundation of having study skills and study habits? Because, everything is built upon the foundation. And man, you got to have a good foundation. Having a good 2021 and 2022 school year for an elementary school student, because I'm giving 10 ideas to help you guys and gals out there succeed, is know the disciplinary policies. Right? Know the disciplinary policies of the school. And then, on the micro level, know the policies of the teacher. That's why all that stuff is so important that you attend up front, that you attend the open house, especially in elementary school. It's just essential. And so if you know the disciplinary policies, then, policies may include details about attendance, vandalism, all different types of things, cheating, fighting, whatever. And so know those policies. Know what's important. It's important that your child knows what's expected of them, right? Let's say your child is an only child and they're used to getting everything their way and they're not used to sharing. Well, in elementary school, I know they still do this. They still got these stations and they got little toys and blocks and all that kind of stuff. And if little Johnny, sorry, Johnny, I used a Johnny reference twice tonight. If little Johnny isn't used to sharing and Susie wants to grab the block and homeboy wants to pull her by her pigtails, yeah, we're going to have a problem. When expectations are known up front, this is what I'm just trying to say. When expectations are known up front, it's really, really easy to help reinforce those expectations at the house. But every classroom is different, right? Some teachers doing the green, yellow, blue thing, right? I'm talking elementary. I'm helping tonight with elementary school. Some teachers are moving the boat. Some teachers are moving the safety pin or the clothespin. There's all different types. Well, you need to be familiar with what your child's teacher's disciplinary policy is. And then help them. Don't make it a negative thing. You know, this discipline doesn't always have to sound like a negative term or automatically bring negative thoughts to your mind when we say know the disciplinary policies. It's just, listen, teaching our kids how to be disciplined. That doesn't necessarily mean like, oh my goodness, I'm going to be on red today, or they don't have to go to school in fear. They have to go to school with knowing the expectations. Am I making sense? Because I don't think the teachers roll it out to the students with the intention of, you know, back in the days, we had a little bit of different in disciplinary policies. For all of my folks that's in their mid to late 40s and older, Greg, you know how it was when you was in school, brother. I don't know if it was like that in Yansonville. Maybe it was. Man, you cut up in school, the teacher had full autonomy to go to your hind parts with a paddle. Well, obviously, that was a form of discipline through fear and you know, I don't know, man. I just don't. That was a bygone era. That era is done. And so what we have to do in this era is know the disciplinary policies in 2021 and 22. And I think you can, in an elementary school setting, you want to know that, because these kids they're still learning the yeses and nos of life. They're still learning the borders and boundaries of life. And so when they come into a new environment, you know, at home, maybe they was able to do all this stuff over the summer. Well, when they come home, oh, you got 3 taps, Greg? Hands on the wall. Oh, you got 3 taps. But Craig, okay, so Greg comments, and I'm asking about paddling, and I just want to know, does anybody think Greg really got paddled in school? Greg is probably one of the nicest people that's ever breathed oxygen. So I doubt Greg ever got paddled. I got paddled in school. But Greg, you were just too kind, brother. You were kind probably even back then in elementary school. Number 8, we got 2 more that we can roll out, man. This has been a quick hour being by myself. And I'm asking myself, I'm interviewing myself, ladies and gentlemen, because I want to, when we come to these schools and speak this year, man, I want to be able to reinforce what the principals want. I want to be able to reinforce what the teachers are looking for. And I also want to be able to reinforce moms and dads and parents and grandparents helping. This is a collaborative effort, ladies and gentlemen. There's 5-fold elements that we need to make sure that we're connecting with. And in our company, we focus on the home, the school, the faith-based community, the individual child. We focus on all of those areas because all of those areas should be working in harmony to help the child along. You got paddled by default. Greg said he got paddled by default. You must have been guilty by association. And so here's idea number 8. And this kind of goes along with, this is kind of like a reinforcement of idea number 1, like attending the school, back to school, parent teacher orientation and all that. Get involved. Okay, whether your kids are starting in kindergarten or this is their last school, time in elementary school, get involved. And there's a multitude of ways I believe we can and should be involved. Get involved. You can get involved by going to your kids' concert if they're singing in the choir. Right? You can get involved by taking off, and watch this, being a chaperone for your kids' field trip. Let me tell you something. I've done that. We went to the North Carolina state capitol. I can't tell you how many times. And yeah, that's something, chaperoning elementary school students. But you know what? It is forging in the mind of your child that mom and dad are there. You can be a classroom helper for your kid. Like I said, chaperoning for field trips, planning parties. We were big on this, man. And times have changed even in this capacity, but birthdays, we was taking birthday stuff to the classroom and cupcakes and all that kind of stuff and helping celebrate and setting up. Those are very, very important elements of being involved. And I can tell you this, I don't know any teacher, and I've worked with many of them. I don't know of any teacher that doesn't appreciate an engaged and involved parent. I did this for Chris. Listen, guys, they pay me to go speak in schools, but when Chris and Jay and them were in elementary school, I'd go talk to their classes for free. I mean, I'd go and motivate and inspire their kids. 5th grade, 4th grade, man, let me just give y'all some ideas of how you could be all that you want to. And that's my time. And man, what it does for you and your kids, man, it's just like the kids after you're gone, your kid is telling this friend, yeah, that's my dad, or yeah, that's my mom, and the kid's like, man, your parent. It just is it's a very, very important thing, guys. In elementary school, you can go there and read during Dr. Seuss week. So what I'm just trying to say is get involved, because there will come a time, ladies and gentlemen, when you will not be able to be nearly as involved. There just won't be a need for you. So get involved. I'm talking at elementary school. I'm giving you guys 10 ideas. And this one is important. I think back to those kids when they were so innocent, so frail. And then you turn them over into this place that's got hundreds of other innocent, frail kids. And being involved was always important to Charity and I. And more than the teacher, more than the administrator, it's important to your kid. When your kid sees you involved in the school, I'm just telling you, there is a connection made. There's a tether made that, because sometimes my kids used to think that there was a disconnect between home and school. Like, y'all cutting up, acting a fool at school, and thinking that mom and dad will never know because it's 4 or 5 miles up the road. There is a tethering there that says, okay, the school is an appendage of our family. It's not this separate island. It is a continuum. It's a continuation. I'm giving you guys 10 ideas to help your elementary school student succeed this year. And number 8 that I've given is get involved. Oh, how I wish I could rewind the time. Mike, you feel that way, brother? How I wish I could rewind the time and say, man, let's go on back to Newport Elementary. Some of the greatest times. Some of the greatest times was at Newport Elementary. And we was right in the middle of it, y'all. I mean, the fall festivals. Fall festivals were awesome. All the things, man. I remember they had it at Newport Elementary back before we moved to Jacksonville. However we got here, I'll never know. But because Newport was God's country, y'all. Small town, just country living. That's the way we raised our kids. I just loved that town. But anyway, I remember they had a breast cancer awareness night at the fall festival, and I wound up spray painting my hair pink to participate. Man, let me tell you something. I had reached the apex of dad coolness at that school. Being involved it's a blessing, man. It's a blessing all the way around. Let me move on from that so I don't get all emotional. Here's another one. Mom and dad, take attendance seriously. Like, yeah, they need to be at the place. You say Comfort Elementary is in God's country? Okay. All right. Yes, man. I'm just the the small town country life, man. I'm just telling you, there is just something about it, and it just, you felt like, you know what I mean. You just felt like this was a family, and so you wanted to be involved. Now it obviously can happen in a big city. I'm just giving you my experience from how our kids were raised. But yeah, point number 9: take attendance seriously. Okay, listen. Jeremiah tried to get me the other day. Can I tell on Jeremiah? Sunday, right? Okay, Saturday, my brother is out. We're out there sweating to the oldies. 9,000 degrees out there with them watching his baseball games. It was so hot. I mean, I am out there with an umbrella, pouring the cold water on my head from my water bottles, not even drinking it because it was so hot. Jeremiah had energy to do that all day, then go do some other peripheral, activities with his friend. These kids got all kind of crazy energy. Then Sunday morning, when it's time to get up and give the Lord his due, Jeremiah, he got stomach bug. Oh my God. I go in there, turn the light on. Oh, I can't. Oh my! I said, brother, I don't know what to tell you. But you gave 8 hours of your time to baseball and hanging out. You're going to give at least an hour of your time to the Lord, brother. Get up. He had the fan on. He had the whole stagecraft. Maybe dad will let me stay home. Same thing goes for them kids going to school. Okay? Don't raise a bunch of, all right, let me try to be, this is not a political show, and I can say what I want on it. But let me try to be nice. Don't raise a bunch of kids that easily find the path of least resistance and try to find an easy way out. If they're okay and they're healthy, send them to school. It's important. Because they may not have a job. They may not get a job in life after school that smiles favorably on laying out of work. So you don't want to develop this habit that every little hangnail that they get, they got to stay home. It was not like that growing up in Paul and Ruth Plowden's house. Those are my foster parents. It was not like that. They would run the blood pressure machine and take your pulse. You got a pulse, you got blood flowing, gone. We'll get up with you. Now, obviously, these are different times, okay? So let me put this disclaimer in there before somebody tries to say something that I did not say. If your child is sick, keep them home, okay? Just use common sense. This is a common sense show, y'all. Don't be dumb. But just because homeboy had a little bump or bruise doesn't mean they need to stay home. It's important that the kids arrive to school on time. Teaching them, listen, it's not time management. I teach a whole leadership series on time management. It is not a thing. You don't manage time. You manage events. There's no such thing as time management. Stop saying it. You are an event manager. So teach them how to be on time for that event. Don't all of a sudden now, they was up, they great all week long. Then Sunday, great. And then all of a sudden Monday, because they was good all on the weekend, but then on Monday, now they don't know, they can't go to school because they got a headache. But I also want to tell you this, that you got to be sensitive. Because some kids may want to stay home from school, especially if you're seeing this as a pattern, because there's something else going on at the school. This is why you got to be engaged, y'all. You got to be involved. You know what I'm saying? So I'm balancing it out because I've dealt with kids in bullying situations for many, many years. And if they're saying they don't want to go to school, and this is a change in behavior, or if you notice a pattern, then you need to put it under the microscope. Okay? So there's always balance. I'm not Joe Jackson like I used to be, Greg. There's always balance. And in elementary school, because this is the time period where this is the formative years, and then when we get to middle school, oh my goodness, yes, you better make sure that they're checking why they don't want to go, because they lose all their innocence. After fifth grade is the dispensation of innocence, and that closes. The scroll on innocence closes after middle school. They lose absolutely all innocence. And I mean, after elementary school, they go to middle school, they all tatted up and gang. I mean, I cannot believe it. I go speak in elementary schools. I don't have to say anything cool. I just throw out some candy, get them to scream a little bit, tell them that they're the best, and I'm the greatest speaker that's ever lived. I go to middle school. Man, you got to be on your A game in middle school. Middle schoolers, they take some sort of injection when they go into middle school. It's a transition that really I marvel at. And then last but not least, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, the wheels are down. Please return your drink trays back to their upright position. The last one is make time to talk about school. You follow me? I gave out 10 ideas tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I ain't charge y'all for it. It wasn't no sign up for this link. I'm just giving it to you because I believe that we can do this together. 2020 was a unique year. Unique is putting it nice. It was a bad year for many students. We asked them to pivot to online, the whole list that they went through. And so as we're gearing up to get back into it, our team said, man, we spent a good amount of time in the lab this past Saturday brainstorming this stuff, y'all. It's like, man, let's continue to be a resource for moms and dads and teachers and parents. And man, because kids and young people are the lifeblood of my existence. I love our youth. So make time, moms and dads, make time to talk about school. It's usually easy to talk to elementary school students about what's going on at school. Okay, it's really important. Look at the books that the kids are reading, become familiar with it. Look at the math that they worked on. Just talk about it. Because communication is two ways, and you want your child to always be comfortable with telling you what is happening. And listen to your child. Because if you have that opportunity, if you have that door open, guess what? If something is going awry at the school that perhaps maybe the teacher can't see or is happening, listen, most of the kids that get bullied, they get bullied on the side, on the slide, on the sneak tip, right? Well, when you give your child, when communication is important, even in elementary school, man, we sat down at the dinner table like it was cool and talked about, we went around the horn, and my kids can verify this. We went around the horn for every kid. Tell us about your day at school. Let's hear it. Tell us about your day. And they would start out, woke up, went to school, listened to the morning announcements, and they would just go down the list of their little things that they did, and we listened to all of our little chicklets that we listened to them. And if something sounded out of whack, or if something didn't sound as exciting as it was, or if their demeanor was different, then we pull that one aside and probe a little further. I want you to know that family meals and talks about school can go hand in hand. And especially in them elementary school years, there's 6 schedules in my house now. I got 4 kids or 4 adult people living here, 4 adult humans. And everybody's schedule, we got 6 different schedules. So sitting down at the dinner table it's not realistic as it was back in the days. Because mom and I were home. By the time the kids got home, we was making dinner and we sat down at the table. And at the table, there was no fussing. There was no arguing. There was no fighting. There was no disciplining. There was, let's hear about your day. I wanted it to be a disarming experience. I wanted them to tell about their day. And that's important. So have your child talk to you about school. And I really do believe if we put effort into this stuff, because it does take effort, guys. It doesn't happen automatically, and it does take effort. But I do really feel like if we put effort into this, moms and dads, if you put effort into this in your elementary school kids world, you're going to be wearing a cape and a mask and have a big old S on your chest. I really do hope that one of these ideas was helpful for you. You know, we did find out that Greg got paddled in school. That's really hard to believe. Mike Black says, my co-host Mike Black said, missing limb or not, you going to school on church. Yeah, brother, we will screw your cranium back home, but you going to the Lord's house today, brother. That was Ruth Plowden, man. She didn't play that. You didn't lay up in her house on Sunday. You didn't lay out from school. Because guess what? If you was saying you wasn't going to school, you was doing them chores. You did everybody else's chores, because all of the foster boys had chores. We had chores all the way up till I graduated from high school and then beyond. There was a chore list, and you had to do them. Now, if you presented something like that, they'd be calling the union and you know, filing a grievance. You know what I mean? Times are just different. But I think one thing that is the same, I try to present things for you guys that are just practical and executable. You know, talking to your kids is something you should do, especially in elementary school kids. Have that conversation. Do it in an environment that's fun. Have a good time. Become involved. Be involved in your kids' educational experience. It doesn't matter. It is not exclusively up to the teacher and the school to educate your child. The school's responsible for reading, writing, and arithmetic. I believe that. But I also believe that the other pieces are mom and dad's responsibility. And mom and dad should be engaged. All right? So get back to those back-to-school rallies. Visit the school website. Told you to do that. Support the homework expectations. Send your child to school ready to learn. Get them ready. Let them go to bed early. Teach organizational skills. Don't let them be all over the place. Teach study skills. That's important. Know the policies and disciplinary policies. Get involved. And take attendance seriously. Get them to school. And take time to talk about it. Talk about it. It's so important. So listen, that's it for us for Impacting Life 24/7. Thank you so much, Greg. I hope you weren't scarred for life after getting those paddles. Mike, I don't know if Mike is still on, but I don't know if Mike, did you get paddled in school too? That would be interesting. I bet you Mike got paddled every single day he went to school, because that brother's he probably had a beard when he was in 4th grade. For those of you who never get to see us in our live environment, Mike is our co-host, and Mike is one of my closest friends, but he's had a beard since I've known him, so he probably had one in elementary school too. Mike, you didn't get paddled? He said, nope. You know you got paddled. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we'll cover middle school. I'm being interviewed tomorrow night, but we will be back over here to talk about middle school tomorrow night. Impacting Life 24/7 with your host, CL King. Thank you, guys. Thanks to our sponsors. We'll talk to you tomorrow.